What is up, everybody? It is Wick here, and I've got some awesome things to show you today. Things you can look for at garage sales, thrift stores, flea markets, rummage sales, all those places. If you find them, you can make some decent profit, sometimes some really good profit, thousands of dollars. I've mentioned it before, but every time I do one of these videos, I get messages where people go out and find the exact same things and are able to make some money. People are always asking for these videos. It's just the busy season right now. These take a long time to do and edit. So if you do want to see them, please hit the like button for me. Leave me a comment. If the videos are doing well, I'll try to make time to get these out. But let's jump into it. So the first item I'm showing you today are these wrestling rings. Now these are play sets for wrestling figures. Some of these are massive amounts of money. And if you look here, you got the 1986 Remco one, which is vintage, $400 in the box. New, you're looking at some close to $1,000. Best offer accepted, so we don't really know exactly. But check out this one here. This is actually a newer one. WWE Elite Chamber Ring. This one also best offer, but if you come down here, I think there's one. Yeah, one sold for $315. There's another one, the steel cage for $300. There's another steel cage version. Here's one for $289.99. So some of these wrestling rings are, like I said, really big money. You'd be surprised. Here's the chamber one. It's got some figures. Here's one brand new on auction for $242, which is why I don't do auctions. They probably could have priced that like $350, $400, and somebody would have come along to buy that, just because the pre-owned ones are going for almost the exact same. And I've bought wrestling rings before. I've only picked up, lower end ones that sell for like $20, maybe $30. So it pays anytime you see these at a thrift store or a garage sale to pay more attention to them than you would some other stuff, because it's probably worth your time to look them up. So next we're going to talk about case knives. One thing I want to be able to do, because I see them all the time at garage sales, is pocket knives. I want to be able to pick out good ones, good brands. And of course, one of the brands, the better brands, are case knives. By the end of the year, I want to be a pocket knife expert, just be able to pick up these things better, because I always just kind of glance over them unless they're really cheap and good condition or something, or I see, case on there. You can see the case right on the knife usually, and you can know that they're probably worth picking up. Now here's some that look like, again, you got best offer on these. Here's a set sold for $3,000. Here's one, looks like it sold for $27.99 by itself. Here's a nice set of some for $27.50. And just like everything collectible, these are going to be based on the style, the model, the year, serial number, all that kind of stuff is collectible. Kind of reminds me of fishing lures or something like that. And we're looking at some of the extreme cases. Of course, you can still find these knives for $1 and then flip them for like 30, certain ones. So it's just a great item to know about. I would love to know in the comments if anyone has found any of these really high-end case knives here. Here's a rare Case Brothers Little Valley, 1896 to 1915. Only one other known that's already in a collection. So yeah, very collectible stuff. You can get to some larger knives. I think they do make like axes as well. Seems like they even made some tools at one point. I could be thinking of another brand. Again, I'm no expert on this stuff, which is why they're in the video. Sometimes I just make these videos for myself. If you didn't catch my Blu-ray video, I think it was the last one of these I done. I went over 50 rare Blu-rays to look for. Making these videos, helps me just as much as it can help other people, especially when I'm doing research, and I'm always trying to cram my brain, get as much knowledge in there as possible when it comes to this stuff. Here's something I bet a lot of people have walked past. I don't think I have, because I've been looking for them for years. They're pretty rare. They're the Sony MiniDisc players, specifically the MiniDisc recorders here. You can see they're around $1,000. They look like just a normal kind of CD player. Of course, you should be looking for CD recorders as well, because they can be, $400, $500 depending on the Sony model. But MiniDisc, I don't know why people still want it. It's a dead media really at this point. People don't really use it. But yeah, you're looking at $800 to $1,000 on some of this stuff. Well, I won't say even better, but I think cooler are these Sony silver Walkman MiniDisc players. And you can see they can be around $700 as well. This looks like some little pocket recorder or something there. That one looks really fancy, sold for $640. It's not a recorder though, it's just a player. There's also a nice Pioneer, but Sony is king when it comes to this kind of stuff. almost always. But not just the MiniDisc players, you also have LaserDisc players, which can be worth even more money in some cases, like this Pioneer Laser Active CLD A100. Now this one's some sort of game console, I believe, but still some of these Pioneer LaserDisc players are still over $2,000. It's madness, right? They go all the way down to about 100. You can find certain models 150, but like most things, there's very high-end versions of what you're looking for. I don't think I've ever found a LaserDisc player. It seems there was one at a garage sale one time I saw advertised. I was going to go try to buy it, but it was only like a $200 one. I think it was priced kind of high, so I just kind of ignored it. But still, these things are just great if you can actually find them, and especially if they're working. Even if this stuff's not working, if you go to a garage sale and they want $50 for one of these and it says broken, does not work, you still buy it because you can sell it for hundreds of dollars. Like, there's people that knows how to repair this stuff. While I was thinking of those, vintage receivers, of course, are good. Here's the Fisher 400. This is one of the more common ones that you're going to find, and it's worth quite a bit of money. In some cases, over $1,000 in good restored condition. But a lot of these tube receivers are good. I found, I can't even think of the brand now. I found one that didn't work. I ended up selling it for over $300 just for parts. Yeah, look at this one. Here's one being sold for parts, $600 plus $75 shipping. This kind of stuff can be at a rummage sale. You just never know. You see this stuff, sometimes it looks old, beat up at a rummage sale or whatever. It's worth buying if you can get it cheap, or at least looking up the model number, setting it aside, look up the model number later, and if you decide it's not good, you can put it back then. But this kind of stuff gets picked up very quickly by people. Look at this. This is even just some wood cabinet for it, and it looks like it was selling for a couple $100, $272 for the wood cabinet. There's something else you can look out for, right? That could just be sitting in a garage sale for a couple bucks. Take a good look at it, kind of burn it into your brain, so if you see it and be like, well, that's a Fisher original wood cabinet, make some extra money. Got a couple trackballs to look out for. Actually, a few. These Logitech Ergo Plus wireless ones, over $500. It looks like pre-owned, which is incredible. And I might have talked about these before in a video, but there's also this Foxborough trackball mouse, which, look at this thing. It looks like very old tech. I believe it is old tech, but some of this obscure stuff that may be used, I don't know what it's used for. It could be used in a hospital or some sort of special office environment that makes it worth this much, but $250. Again, the rummage sale was out yesterday. I saw all these old computer parts and computer mice, and I was looking through them. It just made me think of this. And I can't remember if I had it in a video or not, if I've already talked about it, but I'm sure there's plenty of people watching that, maybe didn't catch that video since I have so many. But it's crazy how some of this stuff can just be very valuable. Even some of these basic Microsoft trackball mice, $129.99. I believe there's a lot of people who use these for years, their hands get used to it, then eventually their mouse dies and they have to get a new one. They want the exact same one because whatever they're using just doesn't match up to what they're used to. That's usually why people spend money on this kind of stuff, but certainly a nice little item to look for, in the garage sale electronics totes that you see with all kinds of cables and random old computer parts. Here's an item I'm sure tons of people know about, and this is Salad Master stuff. The surgical steel, titanium type stuff. If a full set of this could be at an estate sale or a garage sale, price very fair. Worth doing research if you see that stamped on the bottom. Like, look, $21.95 for some of these sets, and you don't have to find a full set. You can just find a single one. I mean, you're gonna make money on it, right? If you're getting it cheap. A lot of people, if they bought this stuff themselves and are selling it, they might know what it's worth. But unfortunately, a lot of people pass away who spend a lot of money on this stuff, and then relatives sell it or estate services sell it, and they might not know exactly the value of this stuff. But let me get down here. We'll try to find some smaller pieces here. Yeah, here's just a multi-pot fryer roaster cooker that sold for $757. And look how basic these things look when you look at them. I didn't realize they made a lot of electrical stuff as well. Honestly, I thought it was just basic cookware. I was just at a garage sale this morning and there was some stuff like this I saw. I didn't look at it because there was some people talking in front of it. I just ended up leaving. I'm sure it probably wasn't Solid Master, but it could have been, you never know. But Here's something $700 for a fry pan. And I found some decent cookware stuff like All Clad, but this is, just some of the most top tier I think you're going to find, honestly. And for me, I just think it looks cheap and basic. So that's why I always try to look on the bottom of these things just to check on the brand. Another thing people know about are Tiffany style lamps, or just actual Tiffany lamps. Now here's some. I would never sell a Tiffany lamp on eBay, right? That's crazy. Way too much risk. I'd take it to an auction house or something if you actually had a Tiffany lamp. But what a lot of people I don't think know is Tiffany Studios made a lot of things other than lamps that hold value. And I thought we could take a look at a few of these things, like this desk set. Here's some other lamps that don't really look like a Tiffany lamp. Let's get away from the lamps. Here's a picture frame, inkwell, this kind of stuff. And we got some, what are these, bookends? A little clock that sold for $3,000, thermometer. And you see a lot of stuff like this, right? Is probably what you're thinking. Here's some Buddha bookends. The reason you see a lot of stuff like this is because, well, there's a lot of copies. The companies started, copying anything Tiffany made reproductions. So you have to check and make sure it's actually real before you buy it. That is, if you're paying anything for it. I mean, a lot of times you might just find this stuff at a garage sale or something. It's going to be rare to find actual Tiffany stuff, but it is out there. You hear stories about people finding that kind of stuff all the time. But it's going to be stamped. Tiffany Studios, New York is probably going to have a serial number with it. Almost certainly. So it's pretty easy to, tell if you see some of this old looking stuff like this. Here's a little Zodiac desk lamp is what they're calling it. I see stuff like this all the time, but you look at it and it just ends up being, cheap, knockoff stuff, non-branded stuff. But one day, we're gonna get something. Here's another picture frame, which is great. A magnifying glass that sold for $2,200. There's treasure out there. And if you thrift enough and garage sell enough, I'm not going to tell you that you're going to find some Tiffany items, but you can find good stuff if you keep looking. Another thing I'm forcing myself to learn more about this year is perfume. Used vintage perfume, new vintage perfume. It's something I see at garage sales and estate sales a lot. Some of it is very big money. Some of it is only worth like $30-$40. But if you're getting this stuff for a quarter, $1, you can make some incredible profit on it. So if you're at a sale where there's perfume, why not buy it, right? Of course, some of the most popular is the Chanel stuff here, but my goal was to find some perfume this year and actually, make some profit on it, because I can't remember. I know I bought some like Avon cologne and perfume before. You just kind of come into that stuff if you're reselling. Sometimes you don't try to buy it, but you just buy boxes of or something at an auction and it's got some of that in there with something else. It's just everywhere. Usually that kind of stuff's not worth it, but it doesn't take that much effort, to look up perfume, especially if it's got the label and the box. You can just look at the name, type it in real quick. Most of the time, I don't think it's going to be priced that high, right, at a garage sale, unless they know what they got. And even then, you can just do your research and know if you need to buy it or not. And we're looking at the high-end stuff here. We can scroll forever before we start getting down to the things that are like between $20 and $50, but there's hundreds, if not thousands, of different brands and different types of perfumes and colognes you can look for. So here's something that I wanted to look at as well. This past weekend, I bought some Marlboro things at a garage sale, just some clothing. I found this stuff before, saw like a drinking glass and stuff, and I thought, what kind of Marlboro stuff is actually worth buying? What's kind of the top tier stuff? And you do have some of these rare advertising signs, Ferrari like helmet clock here. But what surprised me was the lighters. Some of these vintage Zippo lighters are going for like close to $900. And there's a few different ones. Racing shirt, some sort of vinyl record set, Pyramid Plus. I don't even know what that is. They must have been big sponsors for Grand Prix and stuff like that, because I see a decent amount of that. Another sign, another lighter. Here's a coat, different. Here's a Harley Davidson in collaboration. And there was some boots also I saw at a sale, and that's one of the reasons I decided to look this stuff up, because I don't know if we're gonna see them or not. Like, look at this jacket, it's $450, kind of crazy. Nice thermometer sign, $415. But yeah, here they are, the vintage Tony Lama boots. And there are some boots at a garage sale, and I got some other boots there, and I saw those, and I think they were like $15, and I'm like, there's no way that the boots are going to be good. Again, I've said this all the time. I've been reselling now for so long. I always say look up stuff, pay attention to it. You never know what can be valuable. If I'm willing to buy a jacket that I can sell for $30, it makes sense that some boots. Really what it was, I picked up the boots and they just felt really cheap. I'm like, oh, there's no way that these are valuable. And then I thought about it later and I looked them up. I saw these Tony Lama crossovers, you know, with the country store and all that. And I'm like, I hope that's not them. Now, these look a lot nicer than the ones I saw. They were like plastic, and there's a lot of cheap boots as well. So I'm sure they're not the Tony Lama, but again, what if they were? Just take the time to look up stuff or just buy it if it's cheap enough. Some of this crossover stuff, pretty big money. Another sign. Another leather jacket, $370. I think over time, this stuff's going to keep going up in value. I don't know how many years it's been since advertising cigarettes became illegal or whatever, but I think it's kind of a style trend, especially for young people to kind of have this stuff. I don't know, just kind of what I'm noticing. So here's something I sold recently, was a bunch of Goosebumps books. Now, I didn't have that many. I ended up selling them, I think, for $100 plus shipping. But if you happen to have the complete set or some of these special edition sets, they can go for a lot of money, as you see there. Like the complete set of 62 here, $600-ish. Of course, first edition and condition are going to matter, right? I think more realistically, you're looking at about $400, $500 usually if you have the complete set. Now, if you have really good condition, like this guy's called Goosebumps Guru, kind of interesting. I wonder if they just sell Goosebumps stuff, but some of them have inserts, and a lot of them are going to be based on condition, so maybe you can get that much. I've seen a lot of comps. They've went up a lot since I've originally, sold my first lot I ever found. And I did sell those, I forget, I think I had like 23 books I sold for $100. So very plausible you get these prices. And the books I had weren't in that great a condition. There are some rare books as well if you happen to have those mixed in, but definitely if you have the whole set, and you can find full sets at garage sales, I guarantee you. They're out there. Did you know that these paperback Babysitters Club books actually are worth money as well? Not as good as the Goosebumps books, but still you can make a lot of money on them, and you usually find a bunch of these at one time. People who are into them sell them, and they usually sell the whole lot for pretty cheap. Now, they're not worth buying at Goodwill for $3 a piece, that's for sure. But, if you find them at a sale and they want like $10 for, 50 to 100, something like that, obviously you're getting a good deal. And you can make some good profit on them. And unfortunately, the way I learned about these, I was at a community sale and I saw a bunch of these in a tote, probably at least 70, 75. I bought some baseball bats and stuff, and I saw them and I was like, I'll go back to the car and look them up. If they're good, I'll come back and buy them. I walked right to the car and forgot. Didn't even think about it till later that night. I looked them up and I'm like, there's some money in these, but that was like 5 or 6 years ago at this point, but still. Sometimes that's just how you learn about stuff, is you miss it. And if you've watched enough of my videos, people point out stuff all the time that I miss that's right in front of me. Stuff I've talked about. The last video I put out, I always talk about Angry Birds plush, and there's 3 of them in front of me. I didn't even see them. Anyway, these books, along with Goosebumps books, even if you're only finding, 20 or 30, if you're getting them cheap enough, you can make some profit. That's going to do it for the video, everybody. Hopefully you learned something today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button for me on the way out. Let me know in the comments if you found any of this stuff, how much of this stuff you already knew about. Always curious to know. Also, let me know what you're finding out there. Tell me some of your bolos. Just like everyone else out there, I'm always trying to continue my reselling education. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, flipping_junk. And this has been Wick. Until next time.